Hey everybody, welcome to In the Red Zone. I'm Mike, this is Shaun, and got a lot we're going to talk about right now. We're going to give you our predictions here in just a moment for week 4 coming up, and we're going to make a few adjustments to how we do our picks, and we'll tell you about that in a moment. But right now, rather than do a separate little video about what happened with week 3, we're just going to kind of recap a couple of the games that we saw, some of the upsets. So I guess, Shaun, the first one we'll start out since Big 12 territory,
Yeah.
and with the way the Big 12 is, Vanderbilt upset Kansas State. I mean,
Yeah.
that was my upset alert game. So I'm not surprised that happened. I'd like to know, what do you think about that game?
Well, one thing we know about Kansas State teams, you never really know how good they are until they get kind of into the season a little bit. I'm pretty surprised, but Vanderbilt we saw had a much better defense this year. They've always kind of been a lower of the pack SEC team. So the fact that they're kind of jumping up there a little bit is a little surprising to me. I didn't think Kansas State would go in there and lose. I didn't. Historically, Kansas State has been a better team than Vanderbilt. So
I think that what surprised me in this game was just how low scoring it was.
yeah,
I thought it would have been. I thought Vanderbilt would win or could win.
yeah.
But I thought this was going to be like a 28-25 or 31-28.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be more high scoring. A 14-7 game was a little surprising.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the other one, we'll switch to the Big Ten. Undefeated Nebraska falls at home to Northern Illinois, a MAC school, but one that's very good in the MAC conference.
Yeah.
You surprised by this?
Yeah, I'm very surprised. Nebraska is supposed to be one of those schools that's on the upswing. They've gotten a lot of recruits, highly rated recruits lately. And, you can't really bank on those guys coming in and having immediate success most of the time. But, yeah, I'm pretty surprised.
Yeah, I have to say I am too. I'm not surprised that a MAC school is able to beat a Power 5 school because it happens a lot. The MAC is a very good conference. But I was really expecting a lot more out of Nebraska. It was a close game. It's not like they got blown out or anything like that. But you certainly expect a team like Nebraska to win, especially at home against a MAC school. And I was reading some online articles about how Nebraska seems to just be like, well, this is what happens, and they're not. It wasn't that long ago where Nebraska. Frank Solich is a coach at Ohio University. It's where I went to school. I'm a big Ohio fan. He's been there 13 years.
Yeah.
He came there from Nebraska because they fired him for a 9-win season because they said Nebraska was slipping. Well, where have you slipped to now?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
What were some other upsets we had this weekend? UCLA fell to Memphis.
Yeah, UCLA to Memphis, but Memphis has kind of been one of those teams in the past few years that they're going to have athletes. They're going to give you their best game. It was at Memphis. A lot of people kind of giving UCLA the out, saying that they had to play at 9 o'clock their time. To me, a college athlete, I remember being in college and I was in a lot better shape than I am now. And I would tell you, I would go play a game at 6 o'clock in the morning and be completely fine with it. These guys are in their top physical shape they will ever be in their lives. And not to mention they're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. I don't think that really messes. The flight there messes with you more than the time that you have to wake up. But these guys are pampered. Yes, they do go through rigorous workouts throughout the week and everything, but you better believe that those coaches and that staff have a good schedule for them to be able to rest when they need to rest. I'm not buying the whole thing about it being 9 o'clock in the morning their time.
I will point out that when we were doing our predictions, I did bring up last week that I said it's a 9 a.m. kick as far as their bodies are concerned. And I will say, I understand your point of that, especially with professionals. But I'm going to tell you, I'm a 38-year-old man, and as much so when I was a young kid as I am today, flying and changing time zones wipes me out.
Yeah.
My body's just, I'm done. It takes me 2 days to recover. So
yeah, I know. I
think everybody's body reacts differently. We don't know who it affected and who it didn't. But I think it did have something to do with it. I'm not giving UCLA an excuse for losing.
Yeah, I think Memphis is just good. I think
they are good.
I watched a lot of that game. I think they're just good. I think that UCLA maybe just wasn't ready for them to be that good. And I even was talking to Mike that day and said that I might want Memphis in the Big 12 over a couple of other schools that fell this last week. So
it's true.
They're just a tough team.
Another game that we followed, Kansas went to Ohio University. We just talked about Frank Solich being the coach there. Kansas falls to Ohio, falls pretty big. The Bobcats looked really good in that win. It wasn't really an upset, though. I mean, it was a MAC school beating a Big 12 school, but I don't think you can consider that an upset.
Yeah.
Some other games we had quickly. Cincinnati beat Miami of Ohio. They're now 2-1. Their only loss was to Michigan. And then another game that wasn't an upset, but boy, it really felt like it was an upset, and that is Texas hanging with USC.
Yeah.
And what was interesting about that is you had a true freshman walk-on kicker who his first ever attempt at a field goal he misses.
Yeah.
Then he's expected to come in for his second attempt ever and to tie the game to send it to overtime, and he hits it. And then eventually he kicks the game winner.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Chase McGrath. So hats off to Chase McGrath for what you did.
Yeah.
Other than that, Texas's defense looked incredible. They looked very good. They were tackling.
At times. I thought they were a little bit inconsistent, but you can't just let guys run past you. I mean, the game went on so long that, you're just gassed at the end.
Yeah.
But Malik Jefferson's starting to look like the player that we thought he would be. So, hats off to them, and hopefully they start, kind of inching up there. They just don't know how to win yet, I don't feel like, with these big games. And once they do figure it out, watch out, because like we've seen with Tom Herman and getting teams and programs ready, like I said, I thought it would take a little bit further on into the season. I thought maybe game 5 or 6 they would start putting some things together, but they gave UCLA and that very good offense a run for their money, and it was so close. I mean, at times you thought Texas was going to win, then you thought USC was going to win, then Texas. You never know. It's just one of those games that whoever has the ball last is going to win, or you turn the ball over.
I will say that this game was 14-10 for a long time, and Texas's only touchdown was by their defense.
Yeah.
So certainly, but I will say late in the game, Ellinger, their quarterback, he looked like a freshman quarterback for a long time.
Yeah.
But in the fourth quarter, the kid grew up, and he grew up fast because he made some throws when he needed to make throws. You know what he reminded me of, and I don't want to compare him to this, so please, people, don't call him the next Tim Tebow.
Drew
but
Brees.
Tim Tebow was the type, he didn't play very well for the first 3 quarters. Didn't matter if it was in the NFL, college, whatever, but in the fourth quarter when he had to make the throws, when he had to get it done, he did it. He did it with the Broncos. He did it at Florida. I mean, so, I'm not at all calling Ellinger a Tebow, but
it kind of reminded me of Trevor Knight against Alabama in that Sugar Bowl win. He was doing just what he needed to do to get the first down. They went for 4th down and they would get it. And those 2 receivers that they've got, Foreman, and I forget the other guy's name, the real tall dude, man, they just went up and they weren't going to come down without the ball. Yeah. They say either I have it or nobody's got it, and they just made play after play. And I'm not going to go so far as to say that I'm really scared of Texas right now. I think that they still have some growing up to do, in some key positions. But once they get that quarterback play going pretty consistently, they're going to be tough. They're going to be pretty tough. They're not going to be just a cupcake win. I can see going into the Cotton Bowl this year being another 40-45 type game.
Yeah.
I think that they're so close. They're just very close.
Some other quick games we'll mention is within the Big Ten. Michigan ended up beating Air Force. They struggled for a while, but they did beat Air Force. I think Michigan State won, Penn State won, and then in the Big 12 you had TCU eventually pulled away from SMU. SMU looked good early, but TCU was too much for them.
Yeah.
We already talked about Kansas and Kansas State. I believe did Texas Tech win?
Yes.
They won. So, and then Texas had their close game with USC. So.
And I just want to say,
Oklahoma State won against Pitt. That was expected.
TCU gave up over 330 yards passing. So they need to figure out something quick before they get into conference play this week against Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough for their defense to come in after a performance like that and try to shut down James Washington and Mason Rudolph.
Right. And then, of course, the 2 games that matter for us, Oklahoma took care of Tulane. It wasn't really much of a threat. Ohio State took care of Army. I said, we each did reaction videos to those games. And I just said, we still have the same problems on offense at Ohio State. Nothing's been fixed.
Yeah.
And, of course, we have no idea about defensive backs because Army just runs the ball. So we have no idea. Now,
ran it over 60 or maybe 59 times.
Yeah, something like that. And then, so one other thing. So next week, Ohio State has UNLV, whose offense is clicking.
Yeah.
And then the week after that, they have Rutgers. And it was announced today, on Monday, that the Rutgers game is going to be a 7:30 kickoff Eastern time on Big Ten Network. So a lot of Buckeye fans are wondering, what the heck? Why are we playing Rutgers in prime time? Because sometimes that can mess with people's schedule. But the reality is that Ohio State, they just draw ratings, and the networks want them on prime time. That's just what it boils down to. I mean, and they want to make money, and Ohio State makes some money on TV. So that's what that boils down to.
Two other games that we failed to mention. LSU. They lost to Mississippi State 37-7. Yeah,
I couldn't believe
LSU is another team who's supposed to be on the rise, and they just go in and just completely had that showing. And I know Mississippi State's a tough place to play. You got those annoying bells going off every second of the game. It feels like they're really. I don't think they're supposed to be going over. On during gameplay. They quiet down every once in a while, but you can still hear people. That would be the most, and I would hate to be in a conference with Mississippi State.
It'd be almost like when I remember World Cup when they had those crazy horns that they were blowing during the whole game. It's like, I got to watch the game on mute. I can't do this. So
another game was...
I want to say real quickly, though, with the Mississippi State, LSU's offense isn't that great.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked that they only scored 7. I'm shocked that their defense gave up
37 points.
Yeah. So anyway, what was the next game you had?
San Diego State knocking off Stanford. That's another kind of surprise because Stanford was rated up there pretty high early in the season, and so
I mean they
not really sure what's going on there.
I know everybody, us experts, everybody thought they were going to beat USC. They got beat, and then everyone thought they're going to kick it into high gear and be mad. And I don't know what's going on with Stanford.
Yeah.
So it's hard to pick them, anymore. And one other game, real quick. Kentucky played South Carolina. They were both 2-0. Surprisingly, Kentucky came out with a win. Yeah. So Kentucky's 3-0. I mean,
Mark Stoops.
Getting
some wins
another
there.
Stoops. There you go. So maybe
probably thinking, now that my brother's out, I'm going to be the the reigning Stoops.
So that's it for kind of a recap for week 3. So now we're going to get into our picks for week 4. And let's start off. So real quickly, the first 3 weeks, what we've done is we would pick Ohio, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, obviously. And then we'd pick the top 25 games. But the truth is, sometimes these games are just Auburn, Mercer. I mean, they're no-brainers. So we're not going to do that anymore. So what we're going to do is we've gone through the list and we're going to rank the games we think are going to be competitive and close, because when we do these videos and give our predictions, typically we're shooting these before the spread has been released.
Right. That was one thing we saw with some people commenting, and we love the comments. Keep commenting on our videos. It just means that people are watching, and we love that. So thank you for this. Even negative. If you think that,
if you think we're idiots, tell us.
Yeah, seriously.
We're just fans. We're not, we're not experts, but
right.
We're just giving our opinion.
Yeah, this is just something entertaining for you. So anyway, maybe one day we might do these videos a couple days later when the spread has come out. Maybe we'll do big games to start off, but this is our first season doing this, and we just want to have something fun. Yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
So basically, that's why we're not picking against the spread. We're going to pick straight up. There's other places that you can go if you want to pick against the spread. You can watch other videos or things like that. Yeah. ESPN app has the spreads, things like that. So just bear with us. This is what we're doing. Yeah. We're doing this for fun. This is just something we enjoy doing. So
it's important to know we don't use any kind of computer algorithm or anything like that. We go mostly based off the eye test. We don't go strictly off of scores from last week. We do our homework. We look into these teams. We see who's playing best. And then with a team like Florida State who loses their quarterback, we're going to take that into consideration. Right. So not professionals. We're not saying go bet on these. Be responsible, obviously. Yeah. But
we're here to entertain. We're just two fans. We're going to give our opinion. We're going to give you our picks, and hopefully you get some enjoyment out of what we pick. And then hey, when we're wrong and we just completely blow it, just tell us. Say
Yeah.
you guys are a bunch of idiots. You don't know what you're doing. So
I'll be
whatever.
happy to eat crow.
It's whatever. Yeah. If you, as long as you're subscribed and you're watching, we don't
Yeah.
care. So call us
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Yep. Let's get into the picks.
Let's get
here.
into the picks for week 4. Where did they go? Hang on. Bear with me. Okay. Start off. Virginia at Boise State. Who do you have?
I've got Boise State in this one. It's at Boise State, and that ugly blue field.
Smurf turf.
Yeah, Smurf turf. I just, Boise's playing pretty well. I think that they'll take care of them.
Okay. I'm going to go with Boise State as well. It's kind of hard to pick against them at home, although it's a little harder picking Boise State games now that Peterson's not their coach, because when he was there, I think it was a lock. You pick Boise State no matter what. But I'll go with Boise State over Virginia. Ohio at Eastern Michigan.
I've got Ohio.
I'm a little cautious on this one, but Ohio has been playing so well lately, and they've got two quarterbacks that are both really well. Nathan Rourke has been playing incredible. I'm going to go with Ohio on this one, but this one could be close.
Yeah.
So Utah at Arizona.
Got Utah on this one. They've been playing pretty well.
I'm going to take Utah as well, although another cautious game for me because I can't remember the coach. Rich Rodriguez. He's got them playing pretty well at Arizona right now. So they're one of those teams that could, reach up and bite you at some point.
Yeah, Utah's top 20 defense in points scored. So I think that they're playing pretty well. It is the beginning of the season still, but.
But I think now with week 4, we're starting to really get a feel for these teams.
Yeah.
What they're able to do. So yeah, we'll both take Utah on that one. UNLV at Ohio State.
I've got Ohio State.
I'm going to take Buckeyes, obviously. I think they'll win, but I'm really, really anxious to see this game because with that offense that UNLV has, I want to see how our defensive backs play in that game.
Yeah.
One quick note, UNLV's coach, he got that job. He was the high school coach at Bishop Gorman in California that won like 3 straight national titles.
Yeah.
The guy's a heck of a coach. He's an offensive coach, so I don't know. But Buckeyes
He's got them up there in like points scored and total offense. They're not, the bottom dwellers that they used to be.
I don't know what the spread is on this, but if it's higher than 20, I think I think UNLV could keep it within 20.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Barrett's got to get accurate. I just got to say that.
If they're going to keep playing Barrett, then I think that Urban Meyer's got to consider at least a 2 quarterback system.
Yeah.
Throw Burrow or Haskins in there, alternate series or something or quarters, but you got to give one of those other guys a shot at more playing time because giving Haskins the last 4 minutes of the game against Army is not enough in my opinion. Let's move on to Cincinnati at Navy. That one's a good one.
Yeah, I've got Navy in this one. The option offense is just it's too, I think it's too much for teams at times, and so
yeah. Sorry, it's my little boy's Carter. He's 3. He's sitting here clapping for us. So anyway, I love Luke Fickell. I love Cincinnati. I want to pick Cincinnati, but I got to be, I got to pick wisely here because I know Navy's is a good football team.
Yeah.
Really good. So I'm going to have to go with Navy as well. Oklahoma at Baylor.
I've got Oklahoma in that one. Baylor's winless and just
they can't even beat an FCS team. So
yeah,
I got to go with Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Probably really big. A really good one. TCU at Oklahoma State.
Yeah. I've got Oklahoma State in this one. Like I said, TCU got over 330 yards passed on them against SMU, and what we're finding with some of these smaller schools, they're getting some athletes and everything. So you never know really what SMU's capable of until they start playing teams in their conference. But I'm not quite sure what Oklahoma State's defense will do, but I think their offense will put up 60 again.
Yeah, I got to go with Oklahoma State. I mean, it's just. I don't think TCU's on that level.
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma State and Oklahoma in the Big 12 are on a different level than everybody else. Not saying TCU is bad, but I think just Oklahoma State's too much. Texas A&M and Arkansas, we had A&M kind of lost that shocker early on to UCLA, and then Arkansas just, what's going on over there? The Razorbacks are just tanking.
I don't know. My thought on this is there's at least one coach who's more on the hot seat than Kevin Sumlin. Yeah. And that's Brett Bielema. Yeah. And so, depending on what his buyout is, you could see him gone here pretty quick. They're not, they're never quite really there. I've got some family who are Razorback fans, and they're just constantly heartbroken by those Razorbacks. And I think it's going to take them to hire one of these young up-and-coming coaches that can come in and just put a spark into that team. And
I mean, they thought they had that with Bielema coming from Wisconsin, but I don't know. I mean,
I think they need someone young that can
do.
come in there and tie in the SEC. We're going to smash you in the mouth, run the football down your throat, and then bring a little swagger to the team. I think until they have that, I don't really expect them to do much. So I'm going to pick A&M, even though A&M's got their problems too, but they've also been able to score at a pretty good clip, and Arkansas hasn't been able to. So
I'm taking Texas A&M as well. You mentioned a young coach. Maybe PJ Fleck will be a short stint at Minnesota. Maybe Arkansas is his next stop.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be good for the Razorbacks.
Yeah.
NC State at Florida State. This one is interesting because Florida State has been off because of the hurricane.
Yeah,
they've only played one game.
Yeah.
Everybody else, some of them people are playing their fourth game.
Yeah.
So how's that affect? Is Florida State ready? They've had some time off. Is their head in it? I mean,
I don't know. I think I would like to say that a bunch of college football players are going to come in and want to play really well after being off for so long and losing their starting quarterback. So I'm going to pick Florida State in this one, but NC State also has some athletes, and I would think that they're going to knock somebody off here pretty soon just because of how they've been playing. But I'm going to pick Florida State in this one. I'm kind of iffy on it.
I'm going to go with Florida State because they have the better athletes, although NC State they're a good football team.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're there every year, but I think it just boils down to Florida State just has too many athletes, so
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Florida State. Alabama at Vanderbilt, very interesting. Vanderbilt coming off that upset win over Kansas State, but it's Alabama.
Yeah. I've got Alabama in that one. They look like one of the few teams that looks like a top 5 team. I think it's an easy pick, and will this be a hangover game for them, even though it wasn't a national championship feeling game? I just think that Alabama's going to be too much for them.
The game is being played at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I think it stays. It could be a 10 to 14 point game. I don't think Alabama blows them out by any stretch.
Yeah.
This could be a competitive game and one that's going to be really fun to watch on TV. I'm looking forward to watching it, but I think ultimately Alabama's just too much. Again, it just goes back to the athletes they have and the depth.
Yeah.
And I think in the fourth quarter, Alabama probably pulls away on this one.
They're really well balanced.
Yeah,
And their defense is really good.
USC at Cal. Both teams are 3-0. Cal's kind of surprising some people.
Yeah. I've got USC. I think that they're going to be riding a high from that Texas win. Even though, I think that they probably expected that they were going to blow Texas out. I don't know that they really thought that they would, squeak by with a game like that. But
yeah,
I'm going to take USC in that one. I just think that their offense is rolling.
I had 2 games listed that could be potential upset alert games, and this was one of them.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But it's hard to pick against USC. I mean, I picked them to win the Pac-12.
Yeah.
I picked them to be in the college football playoff. They're not going to get there if they can't beat Cal.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with USC, but this is one of those where I'm telling you, you want to watch this game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be close. I think it's going to be very entertaining.
Yeah.
Another one coming up, Michigan at Purdue.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Michigan's playing okay. They've struggled a little bit early this season. Purdue just knocked off Missouri, which is kind of surprising. Purdue's kind of been the bottom dweller of the Big Ten lately, and they're kind of, they've been playing really well. I'm gonna take Michigan in that game, but I don't know. Look for them to give Michigan a really good game.
This is my upset alert, the second upset alert game I was telling you about. This is it, and I'm taking Purdue. Purdue beat Ohio earlier and looked phenomenal. I said that their offense reminded me of Baylor from a few years ago. They've played incredible, really. I mean, they really have played great football. I think they've got a complete team. Purdue's only problem, they're in the Big Ten East.
Yeah.
Any other conference, and I think Purdue is right there challenging for a conference championship. So I'm taking Purdue to upset Michigan, knock the Wolverines down to about 15 or so in the top 25. I think Purdue's for real. It's just unfortunate that they have Ohio State and Penn State in the same division of the same conference.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to take Purdue in that one. Mississippi State at Georgia. Mississippi State, that shocker over LSU, and then Georgia's just playing phenomenal. So what do you think about this?
I'm going to take Georgia in that one. The homer pick. Who knows what Mississippi State's going to be feeling after that big win over LSU. Maybe they think they can do it again, but they're not going to be at home this time. Georgia's been playing really good under Jake Fromm, so I'm going to pick Georgia in this one.
This one, I mean, it is interesting because of what Mississippi State did against LSU. Georgia's been playing really well, but they barely squeaked out a win against Notre Dame, and we don't really know if Notre Dame's good this year or not.
Yeah.
So this one's a tough pick. It is at Georgia, but I'm going to go Mississippi State.
Okay.
I think they pull off the win here. This is the second time that I've picked against Georgia, so I hope I'm not wrong. If I am I won't pick against them the rest of the year. But I'm going to take Mississippi State in that one.
Okay.
Florida at Kentucky. Very interesting because Florida's defense is playing lights out. Kentucky now 3-0. I mean, This is another one. If you can watch it on TV, you need to check it out.
Yeah. I'm going to take Florida in it. I know Kentucky's a home team. They're riding 3 games winning streak. So, but I just think that Florida year in and year out gets the better athletes. I mean, some of the best high school football players come out of Florida. So, I'm gonna pick Florida in this one.
We forgot to mention earlier the Florida-Tennessee game.
Yeah.
The Hail Mary at the end to win it for Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got some luck on their side, and they're still playing without a bunch of these guys that have been suspended.
Yeah. And they've got some momentum.
Coming back. And they do have momentum, but I don't know.
I think they've got one guy back.
One guy back?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that kind of balances this game out a little bit for me, but I ultimately got to take Florida. I picked them to win the SEC East. I hope Kentucky continues to win, but I don't think they can against Florida.
Yeah.
So I would take, if this were Kentucky-Tennessee, I would take Kentucky, but I've got to take Florida. Next game, Penn State at Iowa. Iowa surprisingly 3-0. They had a really tough game against Iowa State that they squeaked by. Then they had this past week North Texas. That was an easier game for them, but Hawkeyes are 3-0.
North Texas was up on them early in the game. I know it's why they play a full game. So I don't know.
What do you think about this one?
I think Penn State just takes care of it. Like I said, they've got a phenomenal running back, quarterback tandem that just, when you can throw and run the ball that well, you're going to be really tough to beat. So I've got Penn State in this one. I
should have checked ahead of time. Haven't done my homework. I don't know what time they're playing this game.
Yeah.
If this were a primetime game, I might give the edge a little bit to Iowa because it's at home, but I think this is just a regular kickoff game. So I'm going to go with Penn State. But Penn State is going to have a game this year where they slip up and they don't play well.
Yeah.
I just don't know when it's going to be. I don't think it's this week. It's too early in the season, but they're going to have one of those games coming up where they're going to just squeak by. Notre Dame at Michigan State.
I've got Michigan State in this one.
I'm going to go. I watched Michigan State once so far this year. I thought they looked a lot better than last year. I just don't know a lot. I haven't gotten a good grasp on Notre Dame yet. But I'm going to take the Irish in this one. I think Notre Dame's going to pull off the win, and they're playing for Kelly and his hits. He's playing for his life right now.
They've got a top 15 defense, scoring defense. So they're holding opponents to small margins there. Yeah. So I'm going to take Michigan State,
and I'll take Notre Dame. We'll just see what happens with it. UCLA at Stanford. A couple weeks ago, this looked like this could be the primetime big game of the week matchup, and now it's not.
I've got UCLA. I think they're still good. They still hung 40+ points on Memphis. They just couldn't finish that game out. But Stanford is just falling flat on their face, which is just unbelievable to see a team coached by David Shaw. Not to say that he's a top 10 coach or anything, but he's a decent coach.
Yeah.
They get good players, smart players. Not just anybody can go play at Stanford. So it's just kind of something just doesn't seem right with that program right now. So I've got UCLA all the way in that one.
I'm going to take UCLA as well. Like you said, I don't know what's going on with Stanford. They got to fix whatever the problem is.
Yeah.
but I don't think this is the week they fix it.
Yeah.
But they're getting into Pac-12 play, and the road doesn't get any easier, especially when you you have that slate of games left, to play. So the good thing for Stanford is they already played USC. So so that does it for our picks. I'm going to give you my lock of the week is Oklahoma at Baylor. That's not even going to be close. I think Baker Mayfield's probably only going to play the first half.
Yeah.
So
I think Penn State at Iowa is going to be my lock in that one.
That's a good pick.
Yeah.
And then my upset alert, I already told you, Michigan at Purdue. I think Purdue's going to win it. That's just my gut feeling. And
just to let y'all know that the upset alert is just hey, watch this one. Watch out, because this team we think could. We're not necessarily picking that team. I know it sounds kind of weird that we might pick somebody to win that game, but then the upset, we're just saying watch out, because this one might be a good one.
So with my upset alert, what I'm saying this is the game where you're most likely to see an upset. That's all I'm saying. It's not saying it will, but
I just say that because I know a lot of times people can say, well, why are you playing at both sides? But it's just one for us to say keep an eye out. And we'll see what happens with it. But mine's going to be NC State with Florida State. I think that Florida State only playing one game. Do they have rust? NC State's got some players that can hang with some of these athletes that Florida State has.
And Florida State lost their quarterback in the first game.
So we still don't know. I mean, they played Alabama, one of the best teams in the country. We still don't really know what Florida State's got, so that's why I picked the Wolfpack at NC State to see if they can upset Florida State there.
So that's it. I mean, those are our picks, and sorry about the little bit of interruption with my son, but it's just the way
a long
it goes,
show.
right?
I mean, we kind of
yeah.
It's been a long week for both of us, but we got you your picks there. Eked them out. We'll have a more prepared show next week, and
it's been crazy with us with work and everything, and we have different work schedules, so it's hard for us to do these. So do the best we can. So
I did just start a new job today. So
that's congratulations on that as
feels
well.
Really good. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and it's not this. I don't get paid.
We don't make any money doing this. So that's it for In the Red Zone. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Please follow us on Twitter. We only have 7 followers. Like everything else is taken off, but not Twitter. Don't know why.
Yeah.
And subscribe to us on YouTube. Yeah, because that's where our videos are. Yeah. So, but that's it for Shaun. I'm Mike. You've been in the Red Zone.